Welcome back to the deep dive. We're here again to, really get into the foundational texts and see how they connect to, well, living a life with purpose.
And today, we're immersing ourselves in a really powerful chapter, the 51st chapter of the Quran, Surah Adh-Dhaariyat, the scatterers.
The scatters, okay.
Yeah.
And this one comes from the Meccan period, right? So a time of intense ideological pressure.
Exactly. You have the early Muslim community facing serious pushback, a lot of doubt being thrown around, especially about big ideas like resurrection, accountability, the hereafter.
So the atmosphere was pretty charged, which means this surah has a specific mission, doesn't it? It's about strengthening belief.
Absolutely. It's designed for fortification, strengthening Aqidah, the core creed. It hammers home three key certainties. The resurrection, al-Ba'th, is real. The oneness of Allah, Tawheed, is absolute. And the Prophet, peace be upon him, is truthful. These are interconnected.
And for our deep dive today, how are we approaching this? What's the method?
We're going deep, as always. This isn't just a quick overview. We're grounding this strictly in classical Sunni commentary. Think Al-Tabari, Ibn Kathir, Al-Qurtubi, the heavyweights. We're taking these 60 verses and extracting 5 core life lessons.
Life lessons, okay.
Yeah, and they're designed to be interconnected, sort of a pathway for you, the listener, taking you from maybe some confusion or anxiety towards, well, certainty and purposeful action.
Right, a journey through the surah. So what's the structure? How do these 5 lessons unfold?
We start with foundations. Section 1 is the oaths of certainty, looking at how the natural world itself proves the moral order, proves judgment.
Okay, nature as proof.
Then we get practical. Section 2 is the portrait of the pious. This gives us the actionable blueprint for ihsan, or excellence in faith and action. What does it actually look like?
A blueprint, I like that.
Sections 3 and 4 then provide the historical evidence. Section 3 looks at faith and action through the examples of Prophet Ibrahim and Lut, lessons on divine power, trust, and who gets saved. And Section 4 gives us the lessons on consequence. Quick examples of destroyed nations, showing that accountability isn't just theoretical, it's a historical pattern.
Right, the proof from history.
And finally, Section 5 ties it all together, the ultimate purpose. This is where the surah gives the big answers. Why are we here? What's ibadah? And how does it solve the core human anxiety about provision, about risk?
Wow, okay, that's a comprehensive journey. Let's dive in.
Yeah.
Let's unpack this first section, the logical proof for the Day of Judgment, starting with those really striking oaths in the beginning.
Yeah, the opening is powerful. It doesn't start with a command or a story. It starts with oaths, swearing by things that deniers themselves saw and relied on every single day.
It forces them to confront the order in the world around them.
Precisely. The whole rhetorical point is, look at the perfect order in the physical world. The Lord who manages this so meticulously, he will also manage the moral world with perfect justice. It's a logical bridge.
So verses 1 to 4 lay out these oaths. Winds, clouds, ships, angels. It seems like a mix. Let's break down that specific interpretation.
Okay. The consensus among the early commentators, really leaning on the explanation from Ali ibn Abi Talib, is that these aren't random. They describe an interconnected system, a system of life, command, sustenance.
An interconnected system. Okay, what are the parts?
First, Adh-Dhaariyat, the scatterers. This refers to the winds. They get things moving, scatter seeds, push clouds. They're the initial force.
Right, the winds. Makes sense.
Second, Al-Hamalat, the bearers. These are the clouds carrying that heavy load of water essential for life. And they're moved by the winds, you see.
Yeah, connection 1. Wind-moved clouds.
Third, Al-Jariyat, the floaters. These are the ships sailing smoothly on the water, enabling trade, travel. The human interaction facilitated by the rain the clouds brought.
Okay, wind, clouds bringing rain, ships using the water. But then the fourth one, Al-Muqasamat, the distributors. That shifts gears, right? It's the angels.
That's the crucial link. It connects the observable means, the wind, the clouds, the ships, the whole system of risk or provision, with the unseen reality of divine Amr, the command.
So the angels are the ones executing the divine decree that governs the whole system when the wind blows where the rain falls.
Exactly. It's saying, look at this incredible, perfectly functioning system you depend on. Part of it you see, part you don't, but it works seamlessly. If you accept the meticulous management of this, how can you logically deny the meticulous management of justice and recompense in the hereafter?
It's using their certainty about the physical world to build certainty about the metaphysical.
Precisely. The life lesson is immediate. Faith in the judgment isn't just belief, it's the logical conclusion of observing the world's order.
And this perfect order, what does it prove? Verses 5 and 6 give the answer, the point of the oaths.
Yes, the Jawab al-Qasam, the object of the oath. And it lands with incredible force. Verily, that which you are promised is surely true, la Sadiq. And verily, the recompense is sure to happen, la Waqi.
Double emphasis. La Sadiq, it's truthful. La Waqi's, it's definitely physically going to happen.
It's not a metaphor, it's an impending event. This certainty is meant to be the foundation of a believer's entire life strategy.
But the people hearing this initially, the deniers, they weren't living in certainty. They were in chaos. How does the surah contrast this divine order with their confusion? Verses 7 to 11.
Right after establishing certainty, the surah swears another oath, almost like saying, and look up. By the heaven full of paths.
Hubuk.
Hubuk. What does that signify?
Classically, it means the intricate, beautiful, perfectly ordered paths of the stars, like a finely woven fabric. It's a symbol of absolute cosmic stability and coherence.
So the heavens are perfectly ordered.
But the deniers, they are described as being Fiqalan Mukhtalif in a state of contradictory speech. Utter confusion.
Contradictory speech? How so?
Well, think about it. One day they call the prophet a sorcerer, the next day a madman, then a poet. They can't even agree on their own objections. Their foundation is falsehood, so their arguments are fragmented. They contradict each other.
And they're called karasun. Yes, just guessers, conjecturers, relying on whims and speculation, not knowledge. And they're drowning in a gamra, a covering of ignorance that blinds them to these clear signs in the cosmos and within themselves.
So the life lesson there is about the foundation of your life. If it's built on falsehood, it leads to internal chaos and contradiction.
Exactly. A life built on tawhid, the singular truth, mirrors the stability and coherence of the universal law created. If your worldview feels fragmented, constantly shifting, contradictory, the surah suggests you need to check its foundation. Is it aligned with the singular reality?
That intellectual chaos seems to fuel their arrogance. They mockingly ask in verse 12, when will this day of recompense even be?
Yeah, it's pure sarcasm born of ignorance. But the answer they get is chillingly direct and literal.
Verse 13 and 14, it will be the day they are yuftanun upon the fire.
Yuftanun, a powerful word. It means tried, tested, purified. But here, in context, tormented by fire. The response is basically, you want to know when, it's the day you'll be thrown into the fire.
And then, taste your trial. This is the very thing you were asking to be hastened.
It's terrifyingly direct. It strips away the mockery and confronts them with the literal reality of what they're dismissively demanding. The lesson is stark. Don't mock divine realities. Arrogance born of ignorance has devastating eternal consequences. Treat the unseen warnings with absolute seriousness.
Okay, so the foundation is rock solid. Judgment is real, certain, inevitable. If we accept that, what next? What does that certainty demand from someone who truly believes? That moves us into section 2, right? The blueprint for Ihsan.
Exactly. The surah pivots beautifully here. After establishing the why, the certainty of accountability, it moves to the how. How should a person live in light of that certainty? It gives us this portrait of the Muttaqeen, the God-conscious, as the positive model.
And it says Ihsan excellence isn't just a feeling, it's a disciplined lifestyle.
That's the key. It's practical. Verse 15 and 16 set up the equation immediately. The Muttaqeen are in gardens because they were Musina beforehand.
Indeed, they were good doers before that.
Right. Taqwa, God consciousness, is the inner state, the goal. But Ihsan, excellence in action, is the cause, the proof, the pathway to achieving that saving level of taqwa. Faith needs demonstration.
So what does this demonstrated excellence, this Ihsan, actually involve? The surah gives 3 pillars, 3 habits.
Yes, 3 core habits that define the lifestyle of the Musinin. And they're integrated, covering the private relationship with God, the personal state of the heart, and the public interaction with society.
Okay, let's take pillar 1, the habit of sincerity. Verse 17 says, they used to sleep but little of the night. This points to the night prayer, tahajjud.
Yes, the voluntary night vigil. This is described as the ultimate test of sincerity. Why? Because you're doing it when everyone else is asleep, no one's watching, there's no audience except Allah.
And sleep but little. How did the early scholars understand that? Does it mean barely sleeping at all?
There were 2 main complementary views from the Salaf. One interpretation, often linked to figures like Al-Hasan al-Basri, emphasized the quantity literally sleeping only a small portion of the night, dedicating the majority to worship, a significant sacrifice of comfort.
Okay, sacrificing sleep itself.
The other view, linked perhaps more to Ibn Abbas and focusing on the Arabic structure, suggests it means they wouldn't let a single night pass without praying something, even if it was short. The emphasis there is on consistency and unwavering commitment rather than sheer length every single night.
So whether it's intensity or consistency, the underlying principle is commitment beyond the obligatory.
Exactly. It's about sacrificing comfort and ease for that private conversation with the Lord. It purifies intention. It proves the action is purely for His sake, free from any desire for social validation. It's the engine of sincerity.
But then right after this peak act of devotion comes pillar 2, which seems almost counterintuitive. Verse 18, the habit of humility. At dawn, Bilashar, they seek forgiveness, yastaghfirun.
This is incredibly profound, spiritually sophisticated. Think about it. They've just performed their best, most sincere, voluntary act of worship. What's the very next thing they do? Ask for forgiveness. Istighfar.
Why? Shouldn't they feel good about themselves? Maybe even a little spiritually proud?
But that's exactly what this habit protects against. Spiritual arrogance, ujab, self-satisfaction. The Muhsinin have such a high awareness of Allah's perfection and their own human imperfection that even after their best effort, they see its flaws.
So they're seeking forgiveness not for obvious sins, but for the perceived shortcomings in their tahajjud itself.
Right.
Like maybe their concentration lapsed or they didn't feel present enough.
Precisely. It's forgiveness for the deficiency within their best deed. This habit forces constant self-assessment and humility. It ensures that the very act meant to elevate them doesn't become a source of pride that spiritually ruins them.
Wow. So Ihsan requires both maximum effort and maximum humility about that effort.
That's the balance, effort and humility, hand in hand. That humility preserves the sincerity pillar 1 established.
Okay, so we have private sincerity, personal humility. And then pillar 3 takes it outward. Verse 19, the habit of social justice. Giving as a duty, and in their wealth there was a hack for the beggar and the deprived.
Notice the specific word choice here. It's crucial. The surah uses hak, a right, a due. It doesn't use sadaqah, voluntary charity, or fadl, favor, bounty.
A hak. What's the significance of that? Doesn't calling it a right take away the virtue of choosing to be generous?
That's the core question the commentators tackled. By framing it as a hack, the surah fundamentally changes the psychology of giving for the Muhsinin. They understand their wealth isn't purely their own, it's a trust, a blessing from the provider.
So when they give, they're not doing the poor person a favor.
No. They are fulfilling a duty. They are returning a portion of that divinely entrusted wealth to its rightful claimants, its stakeholders, the needy, the deprived. The recipient isn't receiving charity. They're receiving their due.
That completely reframes it. It removes the potential for the giver to feel superior and protects the dignity of the receiver.
Absolutely. It transforms giving from an act of optional benevolence, which can breed pride, into an act of mandatory justice, which breeds humility and responsibility. This is excellence, ihsan, in social interaction, performing this duty with the same sincerity they have in their prayers.
But inevitably, the biggest barrier to fulfilling that duty, that hack, is the fear of running out, the anxiety about wealth.
And the surah anticipates this immediately. The placement is deliberate. Right after the command to give the hack, verses 20 to 23 directly address this fear. Provision is guaranteed.
It points to signs in the earth, signs in ourselves, and then the clincher. And in the heaven is your provision, risk, and whatever you were promised.
We naturally tie our provision to earthly means, our job, our savings, our business, but the surah redirects our focus. It says the ultimate source, the decree for your risk, is in the heaven.
What does it mean practically? Does it mean we don't have to work?
Not at all. It means the ultimate decision, the qadar, who gets what, when, how much originates from a divine decree beyond just our efforts. Yes, we strive, we use the means Allah provided, but the outcome is guaranteed by Him.
So the Muhsinin can give freely and justly because they've internalized this. They trust that their provision isn't solely dependent on what's in their hands right now.
Exactly. This is the freedom of tawakkul, complete reliance and trust in Allah as Ar-Razzaq, the provider. It severs the heart's attachment to worldly means alone and connects it to the guarantor. This trust is what empowers the pillar of social justice.
And to really cement this, the surah ends this section with that powerful oath about certainty.
Yes. It swears that this promise of provision and the promise of judgment tied to it is as undeniably true as the fact that you can speak. It connects the absolute physical certainty of your own ability to speak to the absolute metaphysical certainty of His guarantee. If you know you can talk, you should know this promise is true.
Okay, so we have the blueprint. Sincerity in private worship, humility in personal assessment, justice in public dealings, all fueled by trust in divine provision. Now, the surah gives us a living example, section 3. Ihsan, in action, the story of Prophet Ibrahim.
Yes, Ibrahim, peace be upon him, is presented here as the embodiment of the Sisan, particularly in hospitality. His encounter with the angels who visited him is like a practical workshop in adab, in proper etiquette.
It starts with him seeing strangers, Munkarun, but treating them as mukrimin, honored guests. That's the first point.
Lesson 1, honor the guest, instinctively. Even before you know who they are or why they're there, the honor is inherent to the status of being a guest.
Then, verse 26, he went discreetly, Faraga, to his family and brought a fatted calf, while the emphasis on Faraga, going discreetly.
Lesson 2, discretion and proactivity. The commentators point out he didn't ask, "Are you hungry? Can I get you something?" Asking puts the guest on the spot. They might feel like a burden and politely refuse, even if hungry.
Right, so he just went quietly and sorted it out.
Exactly. He preserved their dignity by acting proactively without making them ask or feel obliged. That's high-level hospitality.
And the choice of meal by Aylan Samin, a fatted calf, not just dates and water.
Lesson 3, generosity and excellence. He brought the best available, something substantial, showing honor through quality. Ihsan isn't just doing the minimum, it's striving for excellence in service.
Then verse 27, how he served it. He placed it directly before them. Qarabahu ilayhim.
Lesson 4, service. He brought it to them, served them himself, not just pointing them towards the food, direct personal service.
And the gentle way he invited them. Ala takulun, will you not eat?
Lesson 5, politeness. A gentle, encouraging invitation, not a demand. So in just a few verses, you get this complete 5-point curriculum on how to treat people with excellence.
Amazing. But the story takes a turn. They don't eat, revealing their angels, and they give the news about a son, Isaac. This leads to Sarah's reaction.
Right. And Sarah's reaction is purely human logic. She hears she'll have a son at her age, and she strikes her face, cries out Ajuzan Akwim, an old, barren woman. It seems impossible, based on all known physical laws.
And the angel's response cuts through all that logic.
It's the ultimate answer. Kataliki kwala rabruki. Thus has your Lord said. End of argument.
So the life lesson here is about the limits of human understanding versus divine power.
Absolutely. Allah's quadra, his power, isn't bound by the cause and effect system, asbab, he created. When the decree comes from Al-Hakim, the all-wise, Alim, the all-knower, it happens regardless of whether it makes sense to our limited cause-based thinking. Ultimate trust has to be in the decree itself.
Okay. Then the angels reveal their other mission, dealing with the people of Lut. And this part brings out a really critical distinction, doesn't it, between Mu'min and Muslim?
Yes, the wording is incredibly precise here, and the scholars really focused on it. Verse 35 says the angels were sent to save the Mu'min and the true believers, those with internalized faith.
But verse 36 says when they looked, they only found one household of Muslimin, those who outwardly submitted.
Exactly. Muslim denotes the outward affiliation, the identity marker, being part of the community formally. Mu'min signifies the deep internal conviction, the actualized iman in the heart.
And this wasn't just a semantic difference. It had real consequences, especially for Lut's wife.
That's the stark example. She was part of the Bait household of the Muslimin. She was the wife of the Prophet living in his house, outwardly associated. But inwardly, her heart wasn't with the believers. It was aligned with the corrupt people. So she wasn't counted among the Mu'minin to be saved. She perished with the others.
That's a heavy lesson. It implies that just belonging to the right group or family isn't enough for salvation.
It's a direct challenge to complacency. Salvation hinges entirely on that individual, internalized, sincere iman. True belief that shapes your heart and actions. It's not about labels or affiliations. It's about the reality of your connection with Allah.
Okay, so we've seen the blueprint, Ihsan, the requirement, Ihsan. Now the surah reinforces the certainty of judgment with historical examples. Section 4, the inevitability of consequence.
Right. And notice how quick these examples are. Pharaoh, Ad, Gamud. No. Unlike other surahs where these stories might be detailed, here they're rapid fire.
Why the brevity?
Because the purpose here isn't narrative detail, it's pattern recognition. It's establishing the historical sunnah, the consistent way Allah deals with arrogant rejection. It's empirical proof for the claim made earlier. What in Ad-Din al-Waqi, the recompense is certain. Look, here's the evidence.
Got it. So case study 1, Pharaoh, the arrogance of power. He trusted in his ruknihi. What's that?
Ruknan means pillar, support, might. Pharaoh relied on his army, his wealth, his political system, his tangible sources of worldly power. That was his ultimate security.
And Allah dumped him and his hosts into the sea.
Yes, the life lesson is universal. Any rook, any pillar, whether it's money, status, political connections, ideology, anything you lean on instead of Allah for ultimate security is ultimately fragile. And often that very pillar becomes the instrument of your downfall, just like the sea for Pharaoh. Divine justice cuts through all worldly might.
Then case study 2, Ad. The arrogance of sheer physical strength. They built mighty buildings, felt invincible.
And their punishment is such a powerful contrast to the opening oaths. Remember the Dhaariyat, the life-giving winds? Ad were destroyed by Ariya al-Hakim, the barren, sterile wind, a wind that brought utter destruction, leaving everything like decayed ruins.
So the very element that can give life when commanded differently brings total death. The irony.
It's profound. They relied on physical strength, and Allah used an intangible, unseen force wind to obliterate them. The lesson: human might is irrelevant against divine qudra. The strongest walls, the mightiest warriors are helpless when Allah's command comes through something as simple as the air itself.
And then quickly, Thamud and Nuh. Thamud destroyed by a thunderbolt, Waham Yanzrin, while they were looking.
That phrase, Waham Yanzrin, is key. It emphasizes their complete helplessness. They saw it coming but were paralyzed, unable to even stand up, makanu mustatina, or defend themselves. Utter impotence in the face of judgment.
And mentioning these people, Min Quagel, before them, just frames this as
a timeless, established pattern. This isn't new. This is how arrogance and rebellion, fisk, are dealt with. The sin is consistent, arrogance, denial, and the outcome, destruction, consequence, is fixed. History proves the certainty of recompense.
It really drives home the Lawaki aspect that's inevitably happening. Okay, this brings us to the final section, the climax. Section 5, the ultimate synthesis. Purpose and provision, verses 47 to 60.
Yes, after all the proofs, cosmic, logical, historical, imiter, the surah now provides the ultimate answers, the why and how of existence. But first, one more look at the Creator's power.
47. And we have built the heaven with power by Aiden, and indeed we are expanding it, la mizun. That word mizun is fascinating.
It is. By Aiden clearly means with strength power. La mizun classically means we are indeed vast, ample, making it spacious. Many modern commentators also see a direct correlation with the scientific concept of the expanding universe, which adds another layer of awe.
But the core argument remains powerful either way.
Absolutely. The argument is one of scale. If Allah has the power, Aiden, to construct the entire cosmos and maintain its vastness or expansion, Muziyun, how can anyone reasonably doubt his power to resurrect a single human being for judgment? It makes disbelief seem almost irrational in the face of such cosmic majesty.
And then immediately, verse 49 provides a philosophical proof for Tawhid. And of everything, we have created pairs. Zajang.
This is such an elegant argument. Look around. Male, female, night, day, positive, negative, hot, cold. Everything created exists in pairs, complements, or opposites.
How does that prove God's oneness?
Because pairedness inherently implies dependency and limitation. Each part of a pair needs the other for definition, function, or existence. It's contingent. If all of creation is made of dependent pairs, logic demands there must be one being who is utterly independent, unique, without a pair. Al-Ahad, the one. The existence of pairs points to the singularity of the unpaired creator.
Brilliant. Okay, so with cosmic power affirmed, philosophical proof given, historical certainty established, the surah issues its core command, verses 50-51.
Fafiru ila Allah. Therefore, flee to Allah. This is the urgent imperative, the conclusion of all the preceding arguments.
Flee from what and to what?
Flee from the chaos of doubt, Qual and Mukhtalif. Flee from the arrogance of Pharaoh and Ad. Flee from relying on false supports, Herberics. Flee from the dead end of shirk. And flee to his oneness, Tahid. His mercy, his protection, the certainty of his promise, the refuge he offers.
It paints life as this urgent escape towards safety. The repetition, I am a plain warner to you from him, reinforces that urgency.
Definitely. Time is short, the stakes are high, the path is clear, flee to him.
Then the surah offers guidance for those who carry this warning, like the prophet, peace be upon him. Verses 52-55, on the reality of dawah, the call.
First, a dose of realism and comfort. Expect rejection. Verse 52 points out that messengers always face accusations, sorcerer, or madman. It's a historical pattern. Rejection isn't necessarily a reflection on the caller, but often stems from the listener's own spiritual state, their taga, transgression.
That must have been comforting for the prophet, and for anyone doing similar work, don't take it personally.
Exactly. And the second piece of advice is incredibly liberating. Detach from the outcome. Verse 53, Fatawala anhum fama anta bamalam. So turn away from them, the stubborn rejectors. You are not to be blamed.
Your job is delivery, not conversion.
Precisely. Deliver the message clearly, sincerely. If they reject it after that, the responsibility is theirs. The caller is freed from the burden of needing to see results, which can be crushing. Focus on the effort, not the outcome, with individuals who are determined to reject.
So if you turn from the hardened rejectors, where should the focus be? Verse 55 gives the answer.
And remind, for indeed, the reminder benefits the believers.
So the primary benefit of the reminder, the dikra, is often for those who already believe.
Yes. While outreach is crucial, a core function of teaching and reminding is to strengthen, solidify, and refresh the faith, iman, of the existing believers. It keeps their connection alive, protects them from doubts, deepens their understanding. It's spiritual nourishment for the community.
Okay, now we arrive at the absolute peak. Verses 56 to 58, the great synthesis. Purpose and provision.
Verse 56 lays it bare. وَمَا خَلَقْتُ الْجِنَّ وَالْإِنسَ إِلَّا لِيَعْبُدُونِ. And I did not create the jinn and humankind except to worship me. This is the ultimate why. Our purpose is ibadah.
And ibadah is comprehensive, right? Not just rituals.
Comprehensive. It means knowing Allah, recognizing His rights over us, loving Him, obeying His commands in every aspect of life. It's the goal of that fleeing to Allah.
But then verse 57 immediately clarifies Allah's position.
مَا أُرِيدُ مِنْهُم مِّن رِزْقٍ وَمَا أُرِيدُ أَن يُطْعِمُونِ. I seek no provision from them, nor do I need them to feed me. He is utterly self-sufficient, Al-Ghani. Our worship benefits us, meets our need to connect with our Creator. It doesn't fulfill any need in Him.
That's critical. It prevents any misconception that we're doing God a favor.
Exactly. And then verse 58 delivers the knockout blow to human anxiety. Inna Allaha huwa arazak duwa quwwati amatin. Verily Allah, He is the all-provider, owner of power, the most strong.
So here's the synthesis. Your purpose is ibadah, worship. The main thing distracting you from that purpose is anxiety over risk provision. But Allah Himself guarantees He is Ar-Razak, the provider.
It's the perfect solution. Focus on what you were created for ibadah, and trust the one with all power, Du al-Qawa, the most strong Al-Matin, who has taken responsibility for your provision, Ar-Razak. Don't let the worry about the means distract you from the purpose. He controls the means and the outcome.
The entire surah builds to this. The oaths about the means of provision, the confirmation that provision is decreed in the heaven, and now the revelation of the provider's name. It all clicks together.
It's designed to liberate the believer. Focus on your duty to Him. Trust His guarantee for your needs.
And the surah closes by bringing the warning right back to the present listeners. Verses 59-60.
Yes, it explicitly links the fate of the contemporary deniers in Mecca to the fate of their likes from the past. Pharaoh, Ad-Athamud, it says they have their portion of punishment coming, just like their predecessors. Don't delay.
It circles right back to the certainty of recompense stated in verse 6. Lawaki, it's coming. And the final word is fawail and woe to those who disbelieve on that promised day.
A stark, unambiguous conclusion. The case has been made, the choice is clear, the consequences are certain.
What an incredible journey through just 60 verses. So to wrap up, let's quickly recap those 4 big life lessons we extracted.
First, certainty. Faith isn't blind, it's logical, rooted in the observable order of the universe, which points directly to the certainty of moral accountability.
Second, piety, or ihsan, is practical and actionable. It's defined by that integration of private sincerity, tahajjud, personal humility, istifar for good deeds, and public justice, giving the haq.
Third, wisdom. Recognizing that divine power operates beyond our limited human logic, like with Ibrahim and Sarah. And crucially, that salvation depends on individual, internalized iman, true faith, not just outward affiliation as a Muslim.
And finally, the big one, integration. Solving the core human tension between our purpose, ibadah, and our anxiety, risk, by fully trusting Allah as Ar-Razak, the all-provider, the owner of all power.
And think about how those pillars of ihsan, sacrificing sleep, constantly checking pride, giving wealth justly, all require overcoming that fundamental fear of loss, that anxiety about provision.
Yeah, the worry about risk is the biggest obstacle to actually living that ihsan.
Exactly. So the final thought we want to leave you, the listener, with today is this. Given that this surah guarantees your provision is decreed in the heaven by Ar-Razak, take an honest look. How much of your daily energy, your stress, your focus is consumed by chasing that guaranteed risk?
Versus how much is dedicated to fulfilling your actual purpose, ibadah, in its comprehensive sense.
And maybe ask yourself, What's one small practical step you could take, maybe starting tomorrow, to shift that balance? Could it be trying just 2 rak'ahs of tahajjud? Could it be consciously reframing your next act of charity as fulfilling a haq, an act of justice, trusting he will replenish?
Just one step to better align your actions with the profound trust in Arzak that Surah Adh-Dhaariyat calls us to embody.
The blueprint is there. Certainty, purpose, and provision, all integrated. Our deep dive is complete.
We really hope this exploration helps bring this incredible surah to life for you and offers some clarity for your own journey. Thanks for joining us on the Deep Dive.
Until next time.